Okay, so this is the first time I've done one of these in a while, but it's the best of the rest. So basically, any of the weekend's football that I have watched but didn't make a video on, it's in this video. So we'll start off with Bournemouth versus Aston Villa, 3 o'clock afternoon game. And yeah, it's got to be disappointing for Aston Villa losing 2-0 to a newly promoted side. Having said that, Bournemouth played really well. They took the game to Villa and were very direct in their attacking in their attacking play. They got the opening goal very early on in the game through Jefferson Lerma, who was sort of playing a centre back role. Which, I mean, I haven't seen him play there before. I remember he had a couple of seasons in the Premier League before Bournemouth got relegated, and he was primarily a number 8 in midfield. But yeah, it was just poor defending from Villa. Marking wasn't done properly, and the ball just was scrambled around the area before Lerma got a shot off and through a crowd of bodies hit the back of the net. Villa weren't too bad in attack, I didn't think. Jacob Ramsey, I thought, played quite well. He was probably Villa's best attacking player. Ings as well, he looked quite lively. Coutinho created a few things. I thought Leon Bailey, despite his early pre-season form, didn't really get too involved. And also Boubacar Kamara in midfield. It wasn't the best debut for him, to be honest. He didn't really assert himself in that Aston Villa midfield. But yeah, the second goal for Bournemouth was really well, like just very calm under pressure from Lloyd Kelly. The ball was running away from him, out for a goal kick. He just turns inside and whips a really good cross in, and Kiefer Moore gets his head on it and goes into the net. But the problem is Aston Villa, their defenders put absolutely no pressure on Moore, and they need it to. That like, you can't let him have a free header like that. Like no one would expect Matty Cash or Boubacar Kamara, the two players closest to him, to win the ball in a aerial duel with Kiefer Moore. But I mean, you got to at least put some pressure on him, like try and put him off a little bit. You can't just let him jump up and head it towards goal like that. It would be very disappointing if you're Steven Gerrard with your defenders. They're just, and also the lack of organisation as well. Diego Carlos obviously made his debut alongside Ezri Konsa. Now, Gerrard made a bit of a statement in pre-season by taking the captaincy off Tyrone Mings and giving it to John McGinn, which, I mean, I understand John McGinn is very much the heart of the Aston Villa side and is one of the first names on the team sheet, whereas Tyrone Mings has had a bit of a dodgy 12 months for Aston Villa, so I can understand it, but I'm not Tyrone Mings' biggest fan. I'm sure I've made that clear in the past, but it was lacking a voice at the back, and that's one thing Tyrone Mings does. He is an organiser of that Aston Villa backline, and they were really lacking that on Saturday, and they made it too easy for Bournemouth to get shots off from set pieces. But yeah, other than that, Bournemouth defended quite well. There were a few times Mark Travers had to make a few good saves, which he did. He had quite a good game. Anything that came his way, he dealt with. Kamara also came close from a long shot. It was probably the only positive thing he really did in the game. I know he's sitting midfielder, so you're not expecting anything from him in attack, but I just thought defensively he was disappointing, to be honest. But yeah, really good result for Bournemouth back in the Premier League after a 2-year absence. And yeah, they'll be hoping to build on it. I think they've got Man City next week, so that could be a tough fixture. But, you know, you never know if they can get something out of it. They'll be hoping they can. But yeah, for Aston Villa, they things need to improve. I think Tyrone Mings probably needs to be brought back into the starting 11, and same with Ollie Watkins as well for Leon Bailey, because those two looked like they were missed on Saturday. And then Chelsea beat Everton 1-0 on the Saturday tea time game. It wasn't the most exciting game ever. There was, a bad injury at the start of the game to Ben Godfrey, which is never nice to see. And it's been reported today that he's had surgery on it and it's gone successfully, and he should be back in about 3 months. Basically had a fractured leg. It came from a poor back pass from Godfrey, and Pickford had to try and keep it in, but in doing so gave it straight to Kai Havertz. Godfrey sprints back and dives into a challenge, and somehow he just gets his leg caught or something, and there's a fracture. He had to be given an oxygen mask on the pitch, so it was quite worrying at the time. The only time I can remember a player being given an oxygen mask on the pitch was I remember when Luke Shaw broke his leg. I can't remember who it was against. It was about 7 years ago now, against, I want to say Feyenoord or someone like that. Might have been Benfica, I don't know. But yeah, obviously horrible to see. But yeah, it wasn't the most exciting first half. Chelsea got the goal just on half time through a Jorginho penalty. It was a stupid tackle by, well, you can't even call it a tackle, by Abdoulaye Doucouré on Ben Chilwell. Chilwell runs into the box and Doucouré's just got his arms all over him. Ridiculous defending, if you can call it defending, and Jorginho did what Jorginho does and tucked it into the bottom corner. Although having said that, the last time he took a penalty against Jordan Pickford, he missed. So I say Jorginho does what Jorginho does, but sometimes he doesn't do what Jorginho does. Yeah, Chelsea from that point on, they looked quite happy with their 1 goal lead, but there were times where they were put under a little bit of pressure. There was a point where there was a bit of miscommunication from Edouard Mendy and Thiago Silva, which led to, I think it was Damari Gray being able to get a shot off, but Thiago Silva used all of his experience to position himself correctly and block the shot. Chelsea also had a chance of their own in the second half through Raheem Sterling. Marc Cucurella came off the bench and played it across goal to Sterling, and Vitaly Mykolenko produced one hell of a block to stop it from going in. Mykolenko, I thought, had quite a good game. He's probably Everton's best performer. But the one thing Everton really did lack was a striker. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is injured, and Everton have just got too many players at the moment who are so unreliable with their fitness. I'm not including Ben Godfrey in that. A fractured leg is completely different. That's just bad luck. But Calvert-Lewin gets so many of these niggly injuries. And Yerry Mina is another one who had to go off injured. And again, he's another player who's constantly picking up injuries and is rarely ever fit for more than 20 games a season. He's a good player when he plays, but he's unreliable, which is not good. And yeah, he picked up another injury yesterday. And because of the lack of Calvert-Lewin, Everton were really lacking a striker. They had to play sort of Anthony Gordon down the middle with Damari Gray coming from one side. And who was it on the other side? I should know this. He was playing on the other side for Everton. Oh, of course, Dwight McNeil, but he had a little impact on the game, to be honest, and got subbed off after about the hour mark. And speaking of which, Dele Alli came on, and he had very little impact on the game as well. Anthony Gordon, yeah, it's a position he's never played before. You can't expect him to play well there. He hasn't got the physicality yet to be a number 9, and he's much better out wide. That much we already know pretty much. But yeah, Chelsea, it's a good start to the season, isn't it? Away win at Goodison Park, never an easy ground to go to, as Everton showed at the end of last season, where they pretty much picked up most of their points. In fact, they beat Chelsea in the run into their survival from relegation to the Championship. But yeah, good start to the season for Chelsea. And then finally, Manchester City beat West Ham at the London Stadium 4:30 yesterday. And there is only one man who's being talked about after this game, and rightly so. I mean, he was absolutely ridiculous and pretty much proved what everyone was saying about him after last week's Community Shield wrong. Because he was just incredible, and that is Erling Haaland. West Ham, to be fair, they started the game, first 5 minutes, they were the side on top. And Jarrett Bowen had a shot blocked after a bit of a goalmouth scramble by Erling Haaland. So, I mean, first of all, the first thing he did was a defensive contribution, and it was a good block as well. And straight after, Mikel Antonio had headed a chance over the bar from the following cross. But the opening goal from Erling Haaland, I mean, the speed to get there and beat Areola to it was just incredible. I mean, like, I've never seen someone that big be so quick in football. Just incredible, really. I think you probably have to go back to Thierry Henry to see someone of that size be so quick over like 5 or 6 yards. And I don't think it's exactly what Areola needed, having just come on having come on for Fabianski, who actually got injured by, you guessed it, Erling Haaland after a collision. It wasn't Haaland's fault at all, but he was pretty much everywhere, let's say, Erling Haaland. And he took the penalty, really well taken, just like looked really confident, which, I mean, says a lot, because I think a lot of strikers, after what happened last week, would sort of be, sticking their head in the sand a little bit. Haaland didn't do that at all, and gave a bit back to the West Ham fans as well after he scored. And the second goal by Haaland is just one of like the most satisfying, well taken like chances you'll ever see in the Premier League. Like, it's not a great goal by any means, but it's a well-timed ball by De Bruyne through. Haaland runs onto it, and you just, as soon as he gets there, there's absolutely no way he's missing for some reason. You just know it. It's just the way he never looks out of control, doesn't even need to take a touch, curves his run around the ball and strokes it past Areola again. Like when he's running through, Ben Johnson, who, as far as I know, this is one of his first games in the centre-back position for West Ham. He's played right back and left back at times last season. I think your opponent for one of your first games at centre-back doesn't really need to be Erling Haaland, and you can just see him jogging towards goal, just waiting for Haaland to score. And make it 2-0, and at that point it was game done and dusted. West Ham brought on Gianluca Scamacca with about half an hour to go, and to be fair, he got himself involved a little bit. He produced a good header. He was just offside, so it wouldn't have counted, but it was still something nonetheless, and he looked good when he came on. So hopefully West Ham fans will be thinking, hopefully he starts next week and they get to see a little bit more of him. I think that might be the case, especially after Antonio went off with what seemed like some sort of muscle injury. I think Scamacca could be a good player for West Ham. Declan Rice also wasted a good opportunity, really, because, I mean, opportunities against Man City are going to be a rarity, so you do need to do better with them, and you don't need to smash them over the bar. The one thing about Haaland, though, I have noticed in the couple of games I have seen him play for Manchester City, I've seen him play a lot for Dortmund as well, but, he's very much in the limelight now because, he is like the main man in the Premier League because of that transfer in the summer, and the hype is like Cristiano Ronaldo level. He does have a bit of a reluctance to use his head, like for crosses, and you can see why, because he had a couple of headed chances. The one he missed the ball, and the second one didn't get it anywhere close to on target. And there was a chance in the Community Shield last week which he avoided using his head as well. So that's something to note. But very good start to the season for Manchester City.